Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tony, the Geeky agent from here in Binbrook, Ontario, Canada, and I'm joined this afternoon by Miss Judi Partridge, the local MPP candidate for the Liberal Party, running in Flamborough-Glanbrook. Mm-hmm. Is it Flamborough or Flamborough-Glanbrook?
It is Flamborough-Glanbrook,
okay.
Yes, and it's a new riding, and welcome everybody. So nice to have you tune in. So the new riding is Flamborough-Glanbrook, and basically it just aligns with the federal boundaries for the federal election. So now for provincially, it is going to be all of Flamborough, the rural part of Ancaster, all of Glanbrook, and Upper Stony Creek. So it is a massive new riding.
Yeah, we're pretty spread out up here.
Yeah.
But we're growing. The Binbrook is a pretty quickly growing subdivision here, like a lot of new homes being built.
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll get right into it and stuff. And just for people that don't know you, because I know you've been a city councillor in Flamborough for some time, but you haven't really been out here in Binbrook as much. So for people who don't know you, like tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in politics and your Hamilton life and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'd be delighted to. So about me personally, my husband Jeff and I have two boys, Justin and Jordan, and live in Carlisle, which is right in the heart of Flamborough. And, my father is a survivor of World War II. He's 97 years old. And so a lot of the values that we live by as a family are values that certainly I grew up with. My background is I'm from the corporate world and government relations and media relations. And I've owned two businesses, which I built from the ground up. So I know what it's like to be a small business owner. Entrepreneur and have challenges with revenue, with employees, and certainly with spending. For my charitable work, I've been involved in community. Some would say as an activist. I would say as an advocate for the past 25 years. And I'm a founding member of the Flamborough Women's Resource Centre, which is the only rural outreach program in the city of Hamilton that helps women and their children dealing with family crisis. And that could be from housing to domestic violence to counseling of any kind. And we opened in 2009, and I am incredibly proud of the work that has been done there. And yes, Tony, you're absolutely right. I've been on city council for 8 years with the city of Hamilton, and I represent Flamborough, which is Ward 15, and it is an urban and a rural community. So 70% of the ward is rural and 30% is urban. Very much mirrors what we have here in Glanbrook and Upper Stony Creek and Binbrook and Mount Hope.
Right, and you've got the rural areas sort of in between, like the centers of Mount Hope and Binbrook and the Stony Creek Mountain that are becoming much more developed.
That's
and all
correct.
That sort of stuff.
That's correct.
And so with that, and then one of the questions that some of the people have sent in is like, the community's growing, so we're looking for more resources for the community and amenities.
Right.
So we've built new schools. We have a couple new schools, additional new schools going in here in Binbrook.
You've got some coming, and I can talk about that.
Yeah, and we were going to say, and then one of the questions was, and I'd mentioned it to you as well, that the high schools, so we're building a lot of elementary schools, but the high schools are getting full.
Right.
So sort of what's in the plans going forward as far as that's concerned?
So I sit on the school board liaison committee between Hamilton Council and the Board of Education, and we are actively looking at building new schools up here, as you've said. Valley Park is one of them, and certainly that one is coming. And so I've been championing that as well. When we talk about development, and when I mentioned earlier about Flamborough and Glanbrook are really mirrors of each other, the same type of development that you're experiencing in Upper Stony Creek, and particularly Binbrook and Mount Hope, is exactly what's happening over in Waterdown. And for the past 8 years, I've been on the planning committee and have been actively involved in a lot of the developments that are going on in this area right now. So I am quite familiar with the Binbrook area. I've also my roots are I'm a farm girl, and I'm quite proud of that. And so every year I participate in the South Wentworth Plowman's Match and the North Wentworth Plowman's Match. And I drive a mean tractor, let me tell you.
And I don't. I'm a city boy who just happened to come out to Binbrook.
Well,
so
that's okay.
I grew up downtown Hamilton, so we're both longtime Hamilton residents in the area.
Yeah.
What do you see as generally, I guess, for Hamilton, you sit on, like I said, you've been on city council for 8 years, so you've seen a lot of things happening. Generally, in the city of Hamilton, like there's just a lot going on. A lot of people coming from Toronto. The city's growing. There's all kinds of things that we're discussing, like LRT and new GO stations and that sort of thing.
Yes.
What do you sort of, I guess, generally see for the city of Hamilton, like the next 5 to 10 years holds for us?
Right. So in the broader city of Hamilton, and you mentioned LRT, so I will talk specifically about LRT. I did not support it. And, my view is and was that we really need to have a more fulsome transit connectivity that goes out to all of our communities and connects to the central city of Hamilton. I also believe that HSR is an antiquated system and it needs to be fixed. So I would much rather have seen the $1.2 billion which is not coming to the city of Hamilton, by the way. It is not coming to the city of Hamilton. It is going to Metrolinx, and it is going to the consortium who is going to build the LRT. I would much rather have seen that money go to bus rapid transit and to fixing the HSR. But it is city council's decision, and city council, even though some of us voted against it, has made the decision to build the LRT. And I think it would be totally irresponsible to try and interfere in that mix and to make that a municipal election issue.
Right.
So it's really up to City Council, whatever they want to do.
And going with that, like I said, we're seeing a lot of growth, and like I'm an ambassador for the Ontario Real Estate Association.
Right.
So I've worked with them in the past at different conferences, and one of the programs or the campaigns that we can have on now is to just raise awareness about how difficult it is for younger people, younger families to get into the housing market.
Yes.
So what kind of things do you see are important and to make that process easier, like from the development side, from the affordability side? What sort of, for yourself personally, and I guess as a Liberal Party platform, what's the vision going forward?
Right, and it really is quite an issue. Back in the late 1990s, the previous government, they mandated that the Waterdown area, Alfreda area, Binbrook, and Mount Hope would be mandated for the growth that would help, grow the city of Hamilton. And then, of course, right after that, we had the amalgamation. And we don't need to talk about that because we're talking about growth right now. And so with all that growth coming, there's a real need for infrastructure. And infrastructure isn't only about roads and sewers, although the roads are inadequate, terribly, terribly inadequate, and they need to be improved. But it's also about the infrastructure from a social perspective. So you have all the homes being built, but do you have the amenities and the facilities, such as I'm on the library board, and so, there are new libraries that are being built throughout the city, and I've been blessed over the last 6-7 years to be a part of the new ones that have opened and that are coming. What is the Liberal government going to do? And what is the City of Hamilton going to do to make it more affordable? Because for young families and even for seniors who are downsizing, that is a real issue. And so the province has, through the Liberal government, has just brought in as part of their platform to allow municipalities to include inclusionary zoning into new developments that are being built. And inclusionary zoning means that the developer will include a certain percentage of more affordable homes that are, so if you've got, 800,000 homes being built, 500,000 homes being built, that you would allow for maybe some 300,000 homes to be built of that value. And so that does make it more affordable, certainly for young families. It really, I'm very concerned that our young families are being frozen out of the market, and our seniors as well, because it is a real issue, especially for the rural communities, when you have people who are trying to downsize from their farms and from their rural areas. They don't want to leave their community. They want to stay here. They have raised their children here, and they want to live here. And I think it is incumbent on both the province and the municipality to look at what kind of programs can we put in place that will allow for that from a development perspective.
And I think mentioning that, like Binbrook is a pretty good example of that, I think.
It is.
If you're going through, like me, selling real estate here, having a bit of experience, there's a really good mix of housing, like right from smaller townhomes, right to like retirement communities or adult living type communities, and larger single-family homes and all that sort of stuff. And it does actually make a better fabric for the community, because you've got the ability for people who are just starting out and people who are retiring, so your grandparents can live in the same community as their grandkids do, and that sort of thing, because you've got the available housing and, like you said, the resources here. So you've got new libraries and new schools, new retail developments, and all that sort of thing.
And I think the other thing that's critically important as well, we can't forget about rentals. You know, there are not enough apartment buildings and rentals being built that would again allow a young couple who is just starting out to be able to have their first home, if you will, by renting, save some money, and move into their own, you know, first-time home ownership, or even a condo, and that also works for seniors as well.
Absolutely. So I guess my question is, like, you've been on city council, what spurred the decision to kind of move into the provincial level of politics for you? Like, what was that opportunity? Was there, of course, right? But what was sort of the motivation for you to kind of move into that role now?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked me that question.
I'm sure you are.
So, you know, 8 years on council, and prior to that, I was quite involved in government relations, so I did work with all three levels of government. What the 8 years of being on council has provided me is the opportunity to really learn about the Green Belt and to learn about the Clean Water Act. I work on the planning committee. I work with all of the developments right across the city, and particularly in the rural area, there is provincial legislation that really does affect the rural areas. The Green Belt, for example, is only in the rural areas, and so that does affect absolutely all of Flamborough, and certainly for Glanbrook and Binbrook. And the Green Belt is a good thing, and we need to be really careful that we don't expand that Green Belt and allow for sprawl, because sprawl does not work. We need more intensification. And so having all that knowledge, and I've been able to accomplish a great deal for my ward, and you know, in terms of managing the development that is there. And I think now it's time for me to make that step, if you will, to be at the province and at Queen's Park. There are changes that need to be made, but I can't make them on the outside. I can only make them on the inside. And certainly with the Clean Water Act, which came out of Walkerton, and everyone remembers Walkerton and the fatalities that happened there, which, by the way, was the previous government that made it much easier for those small municipal water systems to not go through the regulations that were required. So they took that legislation, they tore it apart, and then we ended up with the situation at Walkerton. So the Clean Water Act is hugely important, and I'm on the Hamilton Source Water Protection Committee, which is a provincial and a municipal body, and we've been developing the policies around that. So with all of that knowledge come together, I think it's time, I'm ready certainly, to make that step and to be a representative for the Flamborough-Glanbrook community, certainly with my knowledge and with my experience and my understanding of the challenges that we have, not only in big business but small business, in the rural communities, and with childcare and seniors care, and student tuition, which is a good thing, and drug plans and all of that. So I'm quite excited about it.
Absolutely. And I guess I'll ask you, I mean, I work in the community, so I talk to a lot of people in the community. What sort of response are you getting? So I'm presuming you're doing a lot of campaigning, of course.
Yes.
Door to door and meeting with a lot of people and that sort of thing. What sort of feedback are you getting from the people that you're meeting as far as what the ideas are? Like satisfaction with any incumbent government kind of goes up and down over time.
Of course.
And so what kind of feedback are you getting from the people in Flamborough and Glanbrook about the current government and what the vision is for the future with you running and all that sort of thing?
So, and again, thank you for that question. The response at the doors has been quite encouraging. There are some issues. There are things that we could have done differently. Certainly, the elephant in the room is the hydro. The hydro rates are coming down, and again, there are things that need to be changed there. And I've been working for the past 6 years with Electra, Horizon, which the taxpayers of Hamilton own Horizon, which is now Electra, and along with the mayor, we have been working on a plan to be able to take all of the land within the municipality of Hamilton, all of the residents, and bring them into the Electra Horizon ownership, which is a much more efficient company, and certainly that would make a big difference in our hydro. But the response at the door there's a lot of people who are undecided. For myself personally, I've been quite pleased with the name recognition that I'm getting over here in this area as a Flamborough councillor, which is good. We have a lot of work to do. One thing we are doing, we are canvassing a lot. I want people to have the opportunity to meet me personally, to ask me questions, and and then we just go from there. So I'm working just as hard campaigning as I will work hard for the people of Flamborough and Glanbrook.
Awesome. And I guess to get some additional information, if you have the website at judipartridge.ca.
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So you can go there. How else can people sort of follow you on like social media or get in touch with you, and kind of maybe what sort of do you have any future events coming up in the next few weeks that people can meet you at? Like what's going on in Judi Partridge's life?
So thank you very much. So you can absolutely, I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter at Judi Partridge, and encourage people to please reach out that way. You can also reach me at my campaign office, which is 905-521-0571. And my email, certainly by email, my personal email is Judi, and it's Judi, so it's Judi with an I, .Partridge, Partridge, @simpatico.ca.
Perfect. And where is your campaign office located?
The campaign office is located in Waterdown at the Sobeys Plaza. It's right on Dundas Street, and it's right in the middle of the plaza, and it's fully staffed. We would love to have anyone who would like to come and visit us. You are welcome to join us. There is a debate that is happening in Waterdown on Monday, the 28th of May, at the Waterdown District High School, and it is from 7 to 9 p.m. And again, everyone's invited to come. We just finished a debate that was last night or the night before, I can't remember, there's so much going on right now, on Cable 14. So if you do have the opportunity to go to cable14.com, you can watch it through Vote Hamilton. In that drop-down box.
Awesome. And I appreciate you taking the time to be with me today. I know you're busy, so you're going to be running around. So I'm going to ask you a question, nothing to do with politics whatsoever.
Sure.
I am the geeky agent because I'm a big pop culture fan. I love comic books. I love movies, science fiction.
Right.
I'm going to ask you, what is your most favorite of all-time movie that's like your go-to that I've seen this movie a million times and I'll still watch it again?
Oh, I have several of those.
Well, that's fine. Your top three.
So the ones that I would, Star Wars. Absolutely, Star Wars, the trilogy, Lord of the Rings. I absolutely love Lord of the Rings, and the Harry Potter movies. I think they are absolutely brilliant. And of course, The Godfather. I love The Godfather, and I have probably seen that movie at least 50 times. My husband will verify that, by the way, because whenever I come across it on the TV, he goes, "Oh, for gosh sakes, Judi, we've seen this 100 times." But I enjoy all of those movies.
Awesome.
Thank
and
you.
last question: if there's a TV series or a Netflix binge-worthy type series or something that you'd say, like, what should I watch today? Like, what am I watching right now?
Right.
What's that one thing? Like, for me, I don't know. There's always something new happening there, so I'll take a weekend with my kids and just watch whatever's there. Like, what's or even the type of show? Like, do you like detective shows? Do you like murder mysteries? The sci-fi, obviously, with Star Wars and all that sort of thing. What's a more recent show or TV show or something would you recommend?
Well, of course, West Wing, and that's an older show, but again, I could watch West Wing forever.
The politician can watch West Wing.
Absolutely.
Or
really
House of Cards, maybe.
It's
rough. It's rough, that one.
And it's but definitely West Wing, and you can learn some tips from it. So,
awesome.
But I love comedies. Comedies are just Frankie and forgotten the name.
Oh, Gracie and Frankie.
Thank you, Frankie and Grace. Yeah,
Frankie and Gracie.
I mean that one is absolutely hilarious, and there's a lot of shows, and I will say, there's such a great selection, no matter what what genre you're into watching. It's quite cool.
It's awesome.
Really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
So anybody who wants to meet Miss Partridge, you can go to judipartridge.ca. It's Judi with an I, partridge.ca. All the contact information, everything's there.
Absolutely.
Or at Judi Partridge on Twitter. Find her on Facebook. And leave some questions below in the comments. If we do get any, well, I'll pass them along to Ms. Partridge, and we can maybe, hopefully going forward, if we have some more time, we'll chat again.
I'd love to. That would be terrific. Very pleased to meet
Pleasure
you.
to meet you, man.
Okay, thank
you.
you.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and
thank you, everybody.
We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.
Take care. Have a great day.